How's it going, everybody? Let's move on to Friday the 13th, Part 2. We got little sackhead Jason here joining us. Yeah, it's from the reboot, but he's got a fucking sack on his head. Who gives a shit where it's from? So, 1981, directed by Steve Miner in his directorial debut. And let's just jump right into it here. So, we have a 6-minute recap at the beginning of this movie. Just for, I guess at the time, for the people who saw the first one and couldn't remember the overwhelmingly complex plot line and everything in the first one, they needed a 6-minute recap for this movie, and for the next few too. There's just so much recapping at the beginning of these movies that is just not needed at all. So this is 2 months after the first one, where we have the scene with Alice. And now in the first movie, she says to Steve Christie at the very beginning, like in their first scene together, that she says that she might have to go back to California and sort something out. So she lives in California, is what I take from that. I've always took from that she lives in California, because she never mentions what she has to go back for or anything like that. So if she lives in California, how the fuck did Jason get there? Like, and how did he even know where she lives? Even if she doesn't live in California and she's anywhere, like, how does he know where she lives? And how'd he get there? And apparently he had to have brought his mother's severed head with him because it's in the fridge. So just picturing him like getting on a plane or something with a sack on his head, with a carry-on bag with a severed head of his mother in it. And then flying to California, and then finding Alice, and then killing her, and then flying back with the fucking head in his baggage again. It's fucking hilarious just to think about that. But how did he find her or get there with his fucking either a sack on his head? That's going to draw some attention, or without the sack, just his disfigured, deformed face. That's going to probably like bring just as much attention. So I don't know how any of that works. We get another 3-minute scene in real time of Alice on the phone and taking a shower and walking around the kitchen, which is exhilarating, just like in the last movie. Fucking cat jump scares. I can't stand seeing this shit anymore. Like, this is one of the first ones I saw, like, growing up watching the series. And I don't know how many hundreds of movies I've seen with a cat jump scare in it. It is so old. It is so tired. You know how they clip like their nails, cats' nails and stuff, so they can't, their claws, to claw them, so they can't fucking scratch people. They need to like clip something that makes cats invisible on screen, so that we can't have them jump scare in movies anymore. It's so fucking old. Every fucking movie you see this shit in. And then Alice sees the head in the fridge and gets stabbed with the ice pick in the side of the head. It's alright. It's an okay kill. And actually, Scream Factory finally brought us, like 2 years ago, all the uncut kills for this movie, which was, we were looking forward to that for a long time. And some of them are good, like the uncut versions, and some I can definitely see why they were cut. Because, like, for this one, the uncut version, like, she like stares right at the camera and like has just this stupid look on her face. Like, so glad that they actually cut that, because it does not look good at all. And then why does Jason move the tea kettle off the stove? Like, why? Like, that he doesn't seem like the person to give a fuck about anything like that. But he's got manners, I guess, I'll tell you that. And then we cut to 5 years later, this is where this whole timeline in this series just goes insane. Because it kind of matches up, because in '84 is when the final chapter came out. So it's almost at that 4 or 5 year mark that it ends up lining back up with. But then with part 5, we jump forward another like decade or something with Tommy Jarvis. So this whole series, the timeline is just ridiculous. And we have Jeff and Sandra, which I love all the characters in this movie. This is probably my second favorite in the series, behind the final chapter, which I said in the last video is my favorite slasher film of all time. And now, obviously, my favorite in this series. But all the characters, Jeff, Sandra, Vicky, Terry, Like Paul, Ginny, all memorable characters. And growing up as a kid and a young adult, Sandra was so gorgeous to me and so distracting the way her tits are bouncing all over the place in this movie. Can't say any of that now because had to put all that out of my head when I hit 18 because I realized when I read up on it or saw an interview or something that she was lied about her age and she was 16 when they filmed this movie. And there was like a whole scene with her like full frontal nudity and everything, and they had to edit it all out of the movie because she was 16 years old. So Sandra's cool. That's it. And we get Crazy Ralph again because I guess the fans of the first movie were just aching to see this character back for this one. Who doesn't love Crazy Ralph and his sitcom that I mentioned in the last one? That'd be so funny to see. And why would Jeff and Sandra drive to the gas station just to call Ted to get further directions? Like, that's fucking weird. Like, why didn't Ted just say, these are the directions to the camp, follow them, you'll get there? But he doesn't. He just says meet at the gas station. And then he does that whole prank. It's because of the whole tow truck prank. That's why that whole thing exists, right? Right. Like, that's exactly why. Just to have that little prank that he plays on them. It's the only reason that he didn't give full directions to Packanack Lodge and had them stop at a gas station and call him. Only reason that I can think of. Then Terry is the sexiest girl in this movie, like by far. Like, did you see that body? Like, it is stupid. Like, she is so gorgeous, unbelievably gorgeous. And then we have Ginny, who is my favorite final girl in this franchise. Like, absolutely. She's so good in this Amy Steele. She's great in April Fool's Day too. I just love Amy Steele. She's awesome in everything that I've seen her in. And there had to be some type of pregnancy plot line in this movie. Had to be. Because she keeps mentioning when she gets there that I'm sorry I'm late, I'll never be late again. And then later she says to him, like, Paul, there's something I think I should tell you. Like, has to be that there was a pregnancy thing in there and they took it out because it like didn't relate to anything. Like, absolutely. Like, I am 100% convinced of that. And then Paul did literally nothing to fix that car. Like, nothing. Like, her car's not working. He just opened up the trunk or the hood and just looked at it. And then she turned the car on and he gets fucking dust and shit in his face. And then it works. Like, he literally did nothing. Like, at least have like a tool in his hand, like real quick. Like, all right, try it now. And then it works. He just has the power of stare to make cars work again, apparently, which is not really a great skill to have or talent, but it works in this situation. The whole campfire scene in this movie, I mentioned this when I covered The Burning. Exactly. It's the exact same scene. Like, the campfire scene from this movie and the campfire scene from The Burning. Identical. Like, there has to be a story there. Like, Savini was supposed to work on this, and then he went and worked on The Burning. So somebody had to have read the script for this movie, or vice versa, then Savini went to work on The Burning, and then that idea got thrown in that movie, because these both came out in 81. The same year. It is way too much of a coincidence to have that exact campfire scene with them sitting around and telling the whole legend of Jason or Cropsy in The Burning, then have somebody jump out with a mask and scare the shit out of everybody. Way too exact to be a coincidence, like, by far. Then fuck you, Paul jump scare. Like, that's another thing. Just with people getting jump scared in movies by a friend of theirs. Like, who acts like this? Like, he just jumps out on her and scares the shit out of her, and she's just like, oh no, I'm here, don't worry. Like, dude, there's like a million other ways you can make your presence known than just jumping out of the darkness. I don't know. It happens in so many movies. I've probably complained about this in a dozen movies so far. But all the time this happens. Then we see Crazy Ralph get killed and strangled from behind the tree. Where the fuck was Jason? Like, where was he? Like, we see behind the tree, and Jason's not there. Then all of a sudden, his hands come around the tree and strangle Ralph. So, unless he was like hanging upside down from the tree, there's no fucking way he did that, like, at all. Like, and it happens a few times in this movie, and of course, in a lot of the later movies, especially once he's like a zombie and shit, and like he starts teleporting around and shit. But like, people like to say that like the first 4 movies here are grounded more in reality. Yeah, not really, because there's no way he killed Ralph. And I mean, hey, Life with Ralph, the sitcom, had a nice 5-year run, but this is the reason it was canceled, because Ralph was killed. And I love the shot of Muffin running up to Jason. Then it immediately cuts to a hot dog's being cooked on the grill. That's so funny. And I'm trying to remember, like, I made note of it when I was watching, and then I forgot near the end. But I made note of the bow color on Muffin. And it looks like the dog was wearing a blue bow. And then in the end, I'll get to that. But he was wearing a blue bow. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I remember and what it looked like. I love when the cop catches Jeff and Sandra at Camp Crystal Lake and brings them back to Paul, and then he's like, they'll be dealt with. And he's like, there's no punishment or anything? What type of place is this? And he's like, no seconds on dessert for Jeff and Sandra tonight. Like, that's such like a nice fuck you to the cop. Like, the hell off my campgrounds. Nobody's ever found Jason's shack. Like, never. No one has ever found this shack. And like, did Jason build this shack? Like, I'm sure he didn't. Like, he must have just been some vagrant living in some shack in the woods. Because like, the US government really doesn't take kindly to people living off the grid like that and not paying taxes. So unless Jason built it himself, which, mind you, he's supposedly living in the woods for his whole life since he was a kid and supposedly drowned, which is a whole nother thing about how he became a grown man when he was supposedly a kid and drowned, but now he's alive, and it's a whole thing that I'm not even going to get into because it's inexplicable. Like, it's not explained at all in this whole series. So there's theories and stuff, but I'm not getting into them. Like, way too much crazy shit to sort through. But no one's ever found that shack, like, except for in this movie when it's found twice by 2 different people. I find that very hard to believe. And then we have the cop kill, which is a cool kill, and the uncut one is just him a little longer, like falling down, like after he gets stabbed in the back with the hammer claw. It's a cool kill, but like, now Jason is a cop killer. Like, Alice and Ralph and stuff, sure, it just starts off as a silly prank. Now you kill a cop, now you're in some trouble. He's a fucking cop killer now. He better not ever get arrested, because they're gonna nail his ass to the wall. All the people who leave to go to the bar are the luckiest fucking people on the planet. Like, can you imagine, like, being one of those people and then finding out the next day that all the people there were murdered? And that you could have been there? Like, thank God, like, some of them were like borderline alcoholics or something, that they had to get out of there and go drinking, because they would all be dead too. Like, they are the luckiest people in the world. Every time I see that deer head in the main cabin, I always think that it's gonna like come alive and start cackling and shit like Evil Dead 2. Like, every single time I see that deer head, that's immediately what I think of. And I've never seen somebody so into somebody else, so blatantly obvious, than the way Vicky is into Mark. Like, it's like as soon as they show them, she's hitting on him so hard. It's like she's ready to just like jump onto his dick in the wheelchair, like, from the get-go. Like, she is so into this guy, and good for him, good for her, but it doesn't end up well for them. Then Scott, when he gets hung upside down and Jason slits his throat, that's one kill that in the uncut kills looks a lot better because you see a lot more blood dripping down and stuff. And I remember an interview with the actor saying that like he like almost died because he was like getting blood in his nose and his mouth and he couldn't breathe. But a really good kill with the uncut version. I mean, it still looks good here, but it's very, very short because like this movie got a lot of shit from the MPAA, which was just an ongoing theme from this movie going forward. Like especially with like Part 7. Like Part 7 got butchered by the MPAA, which is a shame because I quite highly enjoy Part 7. And then Terry gets killed off screen. I guess like I was trying to remember, like it's been a few years since I saw this, and I kept trying to rack my brain. Like, wait a minute, how do I not remember how Terry gets killed? Like, how the fuck can I not remember this? Then you just see her scream, and I was like, oh, that's right, because she doesn't. She just gets killed off screen. You don't see anything. I hate when bands in movies aren't really playing. Like, it's because I'm a musician and shit, and I can tell. But it's such a little gripe for me. Like when they're at the bar and they're showing the band playing, like you can look at his fingers, the guitars, and tell that he's not playing the music that's coming out. Just a small little gripe that I have with every movie basically that has a band playing. Like you really just couldn't, you hired these people to pretend to be a band. You couldn't hire a cheap actual band and make them actually play the music to like add to the authenticity? No, I don't know. That's what I would do. But I guess people don't pay attention to that shit. And then when Ted says that like everyone freaking out because some girl panicked and fell out of a canoe. Seriously? Like there was a little more to it than that. Like it wasn't just someone falling out of a canoe. Like don't forget about the half dozen or so brutal murders that happened at Camp Crystal Lake, but she just panicked and fell out of a canoe, and that's where the whole legend stemmed from. Fucking Ted. I don't care for him in this movie. Like, he's a dick, Ted. And he gets to live, too. He survives and stays at the bar. And then Mark getting the machete to his face and his wheelchair falling backwards, rolling down the stairs. That's such a great shot. I love that shot with him rolling down the stairs like that. And just before that, when he's saying to Vicky and they're talking and she's asking how he got paralyzed and he's saying it's a motorcycle accident and she asks, are you going to be in there for life? And he's like, the doctors say so, but I don't. He's like, I don't plan on spending the rest of my life in this wheelchair. And then, unfortunately, like 10, 15 minutes later, his life ends and he's in the wheelchair. So, I don't know. That's fucking sucks, but that's hilarious at the same time, man. And then, but again, where the fuck was Jason? Like, he was nowhere around him. Like, they show with the shots of Mark's face, and you see all behind him, and then they show the back of Mark's head, and all around that. Jason, nowhere to be found. And then just the machete comes out of nowhere. So, he's already supernatural, like, in some way in this movie. Because there is no way that he was there at all. Like, from the shots that we see, Jason is nowhere to be found. Unless he just, like, chucked that machete, like, flung it, like, from the woods or something, and it hit him right in the face. But you know that's not what happened, because just, you see how it's just smashed into his face. So again, he's just a fucking phantom. The whole kill with Jeff and Sandra in the bed, and I say this all the time when I talk about this movie, directly stolen from Mario Bava's Twitch of the Death Nerve, or A Bay of Blood, whatever you want to call it. Absolutely 100% stolen from that movie. Like, I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if Steve Miner came out and said, oh, I've never seen the movie, and blah, 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 blah. Bullshit. You absolutely did. Anyone who hasn't seen A Bay of Blood, an Italian horror movie by Mario Bava, the exact same kill. Like, exactly. Like, the couple fucking in the bed, killer comes with a spear, spears through both bodies, through the mattress, and the spear hits the ground. Like, it's shot in the exact same way, too. Like, it's a great kill. It's probably my favorite kill in this movie. Even though it bothers me that that they stole so directly from Baba. But I mean, you can look at it as an homage, but it's more than an homage. Like, it is flat out like stolen, like 100%. Then Vicky finds Jason in the bed under the sheet, and she screams, and the lightning flashes while she's screaming. That's a really cool shot too, and just a shot of Jason like coming out of the bed. But like, how long was he going to wait there, like under the sheet? Like, what if Vicky never came up? What if nobody ever came up? I mean, it was only Vicky really left that can come up there. So was he just like, fuck it, and just like take a nap and until like he heard somebody coming up? Like, I don't know. He's just waiting there in bed for somebody to come upstairs, and he got lucky, like he always does. Then like when Paul and Ginny come back and they go upstairs and they see the bloody sheets and everything, kind of like in the last movie, in the first one, when they find the bloody axe in the bed. But like Paul says, like, what is this, a joke? Like, he says it like he's pissed. Like, and Ginny has to say to him, like, they wouldn't do something like that. But like, just the way he delivers that line has always struck me as odd. Like, that he doesn't think anything is like weird about this. He's just like pissed off. Like, what is this, a joke? Like, I told him not to fuck around in any way. Like, I don't know, something about the way that he says that. And when Ginny and Paul go into the room, and Ginny says, Paul, there's somebody in this room, and then screams out, there's someone in this fucking room. I love that. Like, just the way she delivers those lines, really, really cool. Other than they have the whole struggle between Jason and Paul. Then we find Ralph's body in the closet. Ginny finds it, and like I said in the last movie with Mrs. Voorhees, Jason inherited that amazing trait of dramatic timing, being perfect all the time, with bodies revealing themselves just at the right moment, like just to scare the living shit out of the final girl, like in all these movies. And does Jason not know the layout of a car? Because when Ginny's in the car trying to start it, he like pops up by the window and then disappears. And he gets on top of the car, or not on top, he's like on the passenger side. And he takes the pitchfork and he stabs it through the passenger's side of the roof. I don't know what that's about. Like, he doesn't know where she's sitting? Like, that was terrible aim. Like, if he does know how a car works, like the way that it's set up. But he just stabs down into the passenger seat, knowing she's in the other seat. So I don't know what that whole thing's about either. Jason takes a kick to the balls really fucking well, man. Like Ginny, when she like hides behind the trees or the bushes and waits for him to come, and then kicks him in the nuts, and he falls to the ground for like 2 seconds and gets up and starts walking and running away again. Like, any guys out there, you've been kicked in the nuts. That shit is so fucking painful. like beyond painful. Like, you're not getting up for like a minute or so, at least. Like, that shit hurts, like, tremendously. But Jason, man, he's a fucking trooper. He just shake that shit off and fucking gets up and keeps on pursuing Ginny. Then how does Jason not see Ginny hiding in front of that yellow car? He looks right at her, and her head is above the hood. Like, if you could see her head, it's above the hood of the car. And he's looking right in her direction. But he doesn't see her one bit. I don't know, that's another weird thing. Seems like I'm just fucking going crazy on this movie, but this is what's so fun about these. The fucking rat and that huge pile of piss. If I see, again, like with the cat, if I see one more rat scare in a movie, I'm gonna fucking exterminate all the rats in the world. Like, this, like, you have a killer after you. You have a murderous fucking psychopath in the room with you. And a rat is what's gonna make you give your location away. Like, more afraid of a rat than the psycho killer in the room. I'll never understand that. And that is so much piss that Jenny pisses on the floor, like through her jeans too. Like, it's not like she's naked on the floor and like you can make a big ass puddle of piss like that. Like, she is wearing jeans. I don't know, I'm not getting a whole piss physics and shit like that, but it makes no sense. And then no way Jason got on top of that stool. that rickety stool without making a sound to surprise Ginny when she got out from under the bed, and then he tried stabbing her with the pitchfork. No fucking way. And it breaks like as soon as he tried stabbing her. So there is no way that he got up on that thing without making a single sound at all. Like, no chance. And then Ginny goes racing and through the woods and finds Jason's shack. And she says, like, please, somebody help me. Does that shack look anything remotely like a place where somebody would help you? No. Like, you might as well have neon signs saying, like, murder house. Like, do not enter or you will die. Like, pointed at this shack. Because that's how it looks. Like, it just looks like a place where an absolute murderer lives. And that's exactly what it is. And there is no one there that's going to help you. Like, at all. Then we have Jenny's whole little child psychology thing that's mentioned earlier come into play by putting the sweater on. I mean, it's quick thinking. It's good thinking. I don't know how all that works, but like pretending to be Jason's mother and talking to him and saying, Mommy's pleased, and they bend down, and then as soon as he sees the severed head of his mother behind her, he snaps out of it. But again, like I said in the beginning, he had to take that head all the way to where Alice lives, and then come all the way back with the head, which is ridiculous. That is so crazy. Come on, really? Like, he really fucking did that. Like, he took that head with him. Like, I'm not getting back into that, but that's fucking ridiculous. And then she machetes Jason right in, like, the side of the shoulder. I don't know why she didn't, like, decapitate him like Alice did, or to his mother. Or, like, at least get him in the head or something. Then we have the dream sequence, which I don't know how any of this makes sense. As do most people. Have no clue how this makes sense. Because we see Muffin is alive. And the reason I brought up the bow earlier, that it was a blue bow, is Muffin has a purple bow on at the end here. So Muffin's been lost in the woods this whole time. Nobody changed her bow. And Jeff and Sandra find the dead corpse of the dog that looks just like Muffin. Like, it's the same fucking dog. Like, that's Muffin. Muffin is dead. But he's wearing a blue bow earlier, and unless that dog knows how to change bows on its own and carries extra bows with it somehow, then there's no way that that's Muffin. Like, at all. Like, there's no way that that's actually the real Muffin. And then we have bearded, hairy Jason crash through the window and grab Ginny. Again, people try to explain the reason why Jason looks like this with the hair and the beard and stuff in this dream sequence, and try to explain away why in the next movie he's shaved completely bald and has a completely different look to him. And they try to say that because this is a dream sequence, this is just what Ginny is picturing Jason looking like under the sack. Which, yeah, you can argue that, except after she stabs him with the machete in the shack, they take the sack off his face. So they see his face. So she knows what he looks like. So if this is just a dream sequence, why would she dream up a completely different face for him than she saw in reality? Like, that makes no sense at all. So unless Jason has like a whole like shaving kit and stuff and just like shaved his head completely, like in between the short little window of events between this movie and the next movie, and shaved his beard and just groomed up all nice and well, none of this makes sense at all. Like, at all. Then what happened to Paul? Like, this has been debated for decades now. Like, is Paul dead? Is Paul alive? We never see him again after that dream sequence. So did he get killed in the shack? And then the rest was a dream? Or none of this makes sense. Like, at all. And it doesn't have to. I mean, it's fucking Friday the 13th. Like, this whole series makes zero sense when you break it down logically. But dream sequence, I guess we're going with that. And then Jason just gets a haircut and shaves his beard in the few hours or a day or whatever until the next movie. And then we just have the shot of Mrs. Voorhees' head which they had an ending shot that the head was supposed to wink at the camera, which I'm so glad they didn't use, because that would have looked so stupid. After this whole movie, and then just having the head wink at the camera, that is one of the stupidest endings you could ever think of, and I'm so glad that they didn't go with that. But Friday 13th Part 2, my second favorite in the series, even though it doesn't sound like it. But anyone sees my channel, they know that I just love having fun and breaking these movies apart. But Ginny, by far my favorite final girl. Terry, the sexiest girl in this movie. And the Jeff and Sandra spear through the bed kill. Best kill in this movie. So Friday the 13th, Part 3, 3D, coming up next. And I will see you guys soon. Say goodbye, Jason.